All right, let's talk about one of the trickiest parts of French grammar, shall we? But forget the boring charts and all those drills. Today, we're going to master a really special set of verbs using a ghost story. Okay, let's dive right in.
So, if you've ever studied French, you've probably hit this wall. When on earth do you use être and when do you use avoir for the past tense, the passé composé? It can feel totally random, right? Well, what if I told you there's a special group of verbs, some people call them the house of être verbs, that always play by the same rule?
And trust me, the absolute best way to make them stick is with a story. A spooky little tale about a haunted castle, to be specific. By the time our story is over, you'll have all 13 of the most important être verbs locked in your memory. You ready? Our story kicks off on a dark and stormy night. We've got a lonely traveler, he's looking for shelter, and he happens to stumble upon this mysterious old castle just looming in the distance. He figures, hey, why not, and decides to take his chances.
So, after a really long journey, he finally makes it to these huge, towering castle gates. This is the very first step of his spooky adventure. In French, we'd say, il est arrivé, he arrived. And there it is, our first verb, arriver, to arrive.
The massive doors just creak open, and he very cautiously steps inside this giant great hall. The verb for this is entrer, to enter. So in the past tense, you'd say, il est entré, he entered. See that? We're using est again, a form of the verb être.
You know, his curiosity just gets the better of him. He spots this grand spiral staircase and starts to climb up, probably wondering what kind of secrets this castle is hiding. Il a monté. He went up. And that's our third verb, monter, which means to go up.
Now at the top of the stairs, he stops on a balcony. The wind is just howling, echoing through these empty halls. For a second, he just stands there, taking it all in. Il est resté. He stayed. Our fourth verb is rester, to stay. But then, he hears something. A tiny, faint footstep coming from downstairs. His heart starts pounding. He spins around and hurries back down the stairs to see what it was. Il est descendu. He went down. This verb is descendre, to go down. The great hall is totally empty. He pushes open a side door and steps out into this misty, moonlit courtyard. Where did that sound come from? Il est sorti. He went out. Our next verb to remember is sortir, to go out. But the courtyard is completely deserted. A little shiver runs down his spine. He decides it was probably just the wind and heads back into the main hall. Il est retourné. He returned. This verb, to return, is retourner. So he thinks he's safe now that he's back inside. He's thinking it was all in his head. But oh, is he wrong? The castle is just getting started with him. As he's walking across the great hall, there is this sudden, loud crack. He looks down in absolute horror. And the old floorboards just give way. He completely loses his balance and just plunges into the darkness below. Il est tombé. He fell. This is a huge one to remember. Tomber, to fall. Luckily, he didn't fall too far. He manages to scramble out of the hole and back into the main hall, his heart just racing. Il est rentré. He went back in. The verb here is rentrer, which means to go back in or to re-enter. Okay, he's had enough. As soon as those first rays of sunlight break through the windows, he grabs his bag and just flees the castle without even looking back once. Il est parti. He left. Our verb for leaving is partir.
So, our traveler escaped, but his story spread like wildfire through the nearby village. And, well, it turns out the locals knew a thing or two about that castle and its ghostly secret.
The villagers would say that after that night, visitors were, well, pretty rare. The verb for to come is venir, so you might hear a legend that a mysterious crow est venu came, flying through a window. But as for people, personne n'est venu. No one came. You see, the castle wasn't just old, it was haunted by its very first lord. The legend says that a long, long time ago, the lord, est né, was born right there in that great hall. That verb, to be born, is naître. And then, many years later, in that exact same spot, il est mort, he died. Our final verb is mourir, to die. And they say his spirit never left.
And there you have it, our ghost story. But it's way more than just a spooky tale, right? It's your guide to this special group of French verbs.
Let's do a quick recap of all the verbs we just learned on our traveler's little journey.
Here they are, all 13 verbs from our story. You can kind of see why they're sometimes called the house of être verbs, can't you? It makes a lot of sense. They all describe some kind of movement or a big change of state. Think about it. Arriving, leaving, going up, going down, or huge life events like being born or dying. They all share one golden rule. In the passé composé, they always use être. So next time you get stuck, just think about our traveler and his night in the haunted castle, and this whole list will come right back to you.
So, instead of trying to memorize some random list, you now have a whole story of arriving, entering, going up, falling down, and finally getting out of there. It's a spooky but super simple way to master one of the trickiest bits of French grammar. Who knew a ghost story could be so useful?